Hi, this is Jane with Green Biz. Today we are going to talk about plants that are good for wet areas in your yard. And I want to clarify right away kind of what I mean by that. Last night we had a huge rain, like 3 inches. So this morning there are puddles all over. In your yard you may have an area that puddles a lot after a big rain. But within, say 12 to 24 hours, it has drained out, it's dry. I'm not necessarily talking about those areas. I'm talking about areas that after you have a big rain, 3 weeks later, it's still wet. Those are the kind of wet areas that we're going to be discussing today. Those are the kind of areas, the plants that I'm going to be showing you today will fit well into an area like that. We're shooting this video over by the pond. Now, when I talk about wet areas, I don't necessarily mean an area that is like sitting in the water. There are plants that will do very well in the water. I'm not talking about those plants necessarily. So we're talking about an area that would be somewhat boggy. It will dry out sometimes, but for the most part, it's going to remain moist. In this video, we are going to talk about shrubs, and we're also going to talk about some perennials and some grasses, because all of those will work well. And as you probably know, there are also some trees that would work into an area like this. I didn't bring the trees over. Weeping willow, river birch are 2 that will work very well in a wet area. The first plant I'm going to talk about is the Arrowwood Viola. It has kind of these pointed leaves. This is a plant that will mostly keep its leaves through the winter. Well, if you live south. It does get a flower on it. The Arrowwood viburnums will get, say 5 to 7 feet tall. So it is going to be a larger plant. It can handle those moist conditions that a boggy area would have. It also can handle full sun. It's a great plant if you need something that's just a little bit bigger to fill in that area down by a wet area. Another great plant to put in a wet area is the elephant ear. I have here behind me on this side an elephant ear that has been planted for many years. It is mature. You can pretty much see how big it is. This one is probably at least 4 feet tall. I have behind me on this side an elephant ear that is in the pod. It's a young one. It will get to be like that. So the elephant ears, they are perennials. In the winter time, you will cut them back. They'll just be nothing. Come spring, they grow back up into what you see here. Elephant ears are great for a wet area. I have next to me here what is called the Cardinal Flower. It's a lobelia. And the Cardinal Flower will work well in a moist area. This is a cool plant. You notice the red leaves. This particular one can get up to 3 feet tall. This will attract butterflies and hummingbirds if that's of interest to you, and it might be. Lobelia is a great flower in a moist area in your yard. This particular plant is called Tradescantia, that's the botanical name, also known as Sweet Kate. Sweet Kate is a great plant. She's beautiful. She's got these pretty blue flowers. It's got kind of a lime green foliage. It will look great in a drainage area that you're trying to fill. Sweet Kate can spread, so just give her lots of space because it is a plant that will spread very easily. This plant that's next to me is called a Hearty Hibiscus. So there's different types of hibiscus. There's the hibiscus that we bring up out of Florida. They are not hardy. I'm not talking about that. This particular Hearty Hibiscus can grow in a moist area, a wet area. It has this beautiful flower. They come in reds, pinks, whites. They grow up from the bottom up. I mean, you cut them back in the fall. They grow up very quickly, and they offer beautiful color throughout the summer. And then in the fall, you're going to just literally whack it back to the ground, and, well, it comes up again the next year. Hearty Hibiscus works great in a wet area. And let me just show you where we whacked it back last year. This is where we whacked it back. This is what has come up this year. Let me show you the flower. Another group of plants that work well in a wet area are your grasses. Now, not all grasses. A lot of grasses like it hot and dry. But these particular grasses are able to handle those wet feet. This particular one that I have is a rush. On a rush grass, you have these nice long blades. This particular grass will get, a few feet tall, so it's going to fill in an area very nice. Let me show you just a couple other kinds of grasses. This particular grass is called a sweet flag. In the springtime, it will have some little blue flowers. It again does very well in a wet area. This next grass is a sedge. This is another one that will work very well in a wet area. Sedges grow to different sizes. All of these grasses that I've been talking about are perennial, which means that you plant them this year, they'll come back next year, which is really nice. You don't have to keep planting them. A sedge works well in a wet area. This grass is a papras. Now, this particular one is an annual, unless you live way down south in Florida. There are some papras that are perennial here in North Carolina. I don't have those with me right today. The papras can get up to 3 to 4 feet tall, and it has this really cool top to it. A lot of times people will plant some annuals in with their perennials or in with their shrubs just because they add color and they add interest. The papras would be a fun one to add just for the interest, for the pretty tops down there by your wet area. There are other trees, shrubs, perennials, and annuals, of course, that you can use in an area that remains too wet to plant a lot of other plants. And I didn't list all of them. If you do have comments or questions about those kinds of plants or anything else about this video, please leave a comment in the comment section below. This is Jane with Green Biz, wishing you a very good day.